What are you watching?
Bay Area iPTV. And if you touch that dial, you're getting shot.
Gentlemen, please allow me to introduce you to Tim Moore. How you doing, Tim?
I am doing great, Darren Dickerson. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. So now, Tim, for just to so we can set the scene properly, where are you right now?
We're at the UIN studio on Grand River and Greenfield in Detroit, Michigan, USA.
And how long have you had your studio there?
Ooh, oh, we've been here. Let me see, 2016, about at least 12 years.
12 years.
At least 12 years.
And so I know that one of the exciting things that you have coming up and that we're going to get into in this interview is the Detroit Jazz Festival.
Yes, we are definitely excited about that. You know, we've been actually broadcasting it on our network this will be the 4th year, but this will be the first year that we're an official media partner for the Jazz Festival. So we're excited about that.
Now, when you say you broadcast on your network for the last few years, what does that mean? What does all that entail?
Well, they gave us the live feed, and we put it on all our about 40 U.S. affiliates and 8 in Africa. We've added Tokyo IPTV for this year, but we're streaming on all of those platforms live.
And so, like, when you say you're streaming live, that means like right now you have 40 U.S. affiliates that have content that's streaming 24/7 right now, correct?
Yes.
And then for the Jazz Festival, you were able to then take the live feed of the Jazz Festival and distribute it across your affiliates.
Yes, that's what we plan to do. This will be the 4th year. And they chose us really because of our reach, you know, because most of the media partners that they use here in Detroit, they're local broadcasters and you know, they just cover the metropolitan area. But again, we have a reach that far exceeds what they can offer.
And so I'm glad you mentioned local broadcasters. So now we know that the Corporation for Public Broadcasting no longer exists, right? And that's PBS.
Right, but they still have local networks that are broadcasting some of their content. But the corporation, PBS, did dissolve in January, actually.
Right. And so what do you think that means for like local content creators and just local markets in general?
Well, it gives us opportunity to gain more prominence because we are definitely in touch with the urban communities. We talk about content that's relevant to the people. We are definitely in touch with the urban communities. We talk about content that's relevant to the people. We are definitely in touch with the urban communities. We talk about content that's relevant to the people. We are definitely in touch with the urban communities. We talk about content that's.
So you are a streaming service, a cloud-based service, correct?
You know, any content that we have comes from servers, but we have our own servers. We don't have to use YouTube or any of the other companies. We do have our own servers. So. You know, again, public TV and public radio, they have quite a bit of content, but they won't be broadcasting as much, and maybe they'll give people a chance to look around and discover UIN and our affiliates.
Okay, and so I think the server point is important. So, like, obviously, there's Netflix, there's YouTube, there's Tubi. You know, there are a lot of streaming services. And you've been talking about Detroit IPTV, and I know you also have 40 other affiliates, right?
Yes.
What's unique about that in comparison to the other streaming services?
Well, all the other ones, they operate from I'd say one main base, whereas
the cloud. They're all in the cloud.
They're all in the cloud, but we're local, and you know that's the term that people talk about today. Everybody wants to be local. Because they saw that, getting everything from these giant corporations is not the best way to serve the community. So all of them talk about local, but we are in the communities. You know, wait.
So now, okay. So you are your headquarters is Detroit IPTV, correct?
Yes.
And that's a .com, right?
I'm sorry.
It's a .com.
Yes, yes,
and you can watch it from anywhere in the world.
absolutely.
But you highlight Detroit, like you got the Detroit Jazz Festival, Detroit Mirror Debate, right? So you're while you're in the cloud, you're actually physically on the ground in Detroit.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to cover an event at a local church about gun violence. So when we leave here, we're heading over to the church and cover that and put that information out.
So now, how important is it for people who to have access to local information, especially for the generation who have coming up on just these cloud-based platforms?
Well, I mean, if you want to get an accurate picture about what's going on in your community, you have to talk to the people there.
No, that's great, and we just been joined by Freeway Ricky Ross. So Rick, this is good timing because what we've been talking about is how UIN has been local, right? So,
Right.
for the last few weeks, we've been on like a nationwide local tour.
Absolutely. Well, I've been on that tour for almost 16 years since I've been home from prison. What I learned is that um, when I went to prison, I was on just about every news channel there is: CNN, Nightline, Dateline, 2020, 60 Minutes. Uh, but at that time, they was scandalizing my name. I was the drug dealer who the cops had been chasing for X amount of years. And I guess it made for great news.
Yes.
Uh, but since I've been home from prison, I reformed myself. I taught myself how to read while I was in prison, and I came up with a different strategy of getting money. No longer did I want to be the drug dealer. I wanted to be the activist. The guy who comes out and help with gang violence and um let people know that if you can sell drugs, you can do other businesses.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
since I've been doing that, I got absolutely no coverage. I spoke at Stanford, UCLA, USC, Yale
You just recently
University.
spoke at Yale University, right?
Yeah, but nobody reports on that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've been on that tour for almost
So
16
so
years now.
talk about how important it is to have a UIN IPTV and what you've been able to do since you've been working with Mr. Moore.
Well, we definitely need something that the everyday person, who don't get to travel the world and who's not on Wall Street, who's not a movie's not going to be played at the big theaters. Billboard's not going to write about them, Variety not going to write about them. Just the average everyday people, people who are not signed with Universal. These people get no press time. They get nobody to pay them any attention, but they're relevant in their areas. And having somebody that will go out and give these people some attention, put the spotlight on them, basically, is definitely needed.
Yeah. Hey,
You
Rick,
know,
I do want to say that the fact that you came out and you're doing something different. People talk about, well, he's been in prison, but people forget that Malcolm X was in prison, Martin Luther King was in prison, Nelson Mandela was in prison. So that's
John
not
the
a
Baptist was
prerequisite.
in prison.
Yes, yes. So that's something that we certainly want to highlight your story and this redemption tour that you're doing because young people need to hear that message. And quite frankly, Rick, I was surprised how much respect you have in the community. It really surprised me, to be honest.
Well, black people, they can relate to my story.
Yes,
They understand the lack of opportunity,
yes,
and that
yeah.
sometimes the opportunity may not come the way you want it, but it's an opportunity, and they definitely forgave me, and the love that I get, sometimes I don't even know if I deserve it.
Mm,
I'm on here with a journalist. You guys were talking to Tim Moore, the founder, chairman of UIN He operates in the national IPTV network, which also has affiliates in Africa. Just launched Tokyo IPTV. So, when I say, I think the reason that the community forgave you is that they understood there was that we've all been a part of a broader conspiracy, Iran Contra. I'm scared to bring that up with Tim Moore, because that's allowed to go down a whole other rabbit hole. But that was just to say that we are at an interesting time in media, right?
Yes,
Where the
yes,
mainstream media has lost a lot of trust as a result of what happened with the current president, and just a lot of things that we are seeing that the media hasn't been covering, and they realized they had lost access to local. We're looking at Labor Day weekend, which is the same weekend as the Detroit Jazz Festival. We're going to be celebrating the 20th anniversary of a UIN, right?
yes, yes,
That's 2006, right?
yeah.
Um, how did you get into this space in terms of streaming TV?
Well, ironically, I, it's because of my consciousness and my attempt to kind of learn our history and learn what was going on. I was selling cellular phones at the time, and one of my salesmen asked me, had I ever heard of IPTV? Well, what's IPTV? He said, well, in the future, and this was about 20 years ago, in the future, the TV signal is going to come through the internet as opposed to cable and satellite. So when he
Right
told
there,
me
but
that, I
before
mean,
before we go further, what I want to make sure we break down for the audience is that IPTV stands for Internet Protocol Television,
yes,
right? And
yes.
and what is Internet Protocol Television, Tim?
Well, actually, they started off with VoIP, voice over internet. That was for cellular phones. Then they had radio IPTV, and then internet IPTV came later. But again, anything that comes through the internet via either Wi-Fi or Ethernet, and that's a cable, is internet TV. Facebook is internet TV. YouTube is internet TV. All those platforms has a .com. They're coming through their IPTV. And so I think some people, mistake that it's like a narrow framework, but it covers anything that comes through the internet. And
Okay, so
so,
what you're telling me is that your network, UIN, is an IPTV network that's been streaming since 2006. Who else was streaming at that time?
AT&T, they launched Uverse at the same time, but they launched as a beta testing. And so eventually they dropped the beta, but they don't use the word Uverse anymore, but actually UIN. So that really makes us the oldest continuously operating internet TV network in the nation. And I do remind people, not the oldest black, the oldest period.
And so you started out as an internet service provider, right? For people who are on public access, and kind of talk about that a little bit.
No, no, not an internet service provider. The
Okay.
providers are people like Comcast or T-Mobile. But again, we started the network. Now, there were other people that had UIN channels or website, but we started a network where I was able to get Detroit IPTV, New York IPTV, Chicago, all the main cities, because at that time, people thought internet TV was illegal. But IPTV wasn't as illegal as what people were doing with it. And they were stealing signals, stealing content. You could see a first run movie online before it got to the theaters. So because I was an early adopter, because I saw it was too big to squash. So, but now people know what IPTV is. And so that means our affiliate domains become more and more valuable each
Right.
year.
And so speaking of affiliates and domains, Freeway Ricky Ross, he's been operating Little Rock IPTV. He's been doing stuff out of Nashville IPTV. So Rick, what you been doing out of Nashville?
Well, we've been having the boxing going on for about I don't know, 5 months now. Uh, and our goal is to grow that into what we're doing, arena size boxing. We're also doing shows with it. Matter of fact, this Saturday coming up, we're gonna have Too Short, a day party, as well as an after party. So um, we're trying
And
to
then you
build.
was it Lafayette, Louisiana, live stream Boosie Bash?
Yeah. We live stream Boosie Bash from Lafayette, Louisiana. What we're gonna try to do um, is teach people that they don't have to be in the arena. that they can be at home and get the same
Yes.
satisfaction as being in the arena. They can party at home, um,
Party in their living room.
in their living room.
Yes.
And it was amazing that people actually did that, for the Boosie Bash.
Yeah, invited friends over, had people come out, and created their own. And so it's really all about experiences, and at the same time, it's that localization, right? And so we've teamed up with an app, right? So we're gonna rebrand your tour to We Pull Up, because that's what you do, right? You pull up,
Mm.
right?
I pull up.
Right. And so the We Pull Up app, and Olu should be joining us any second now, is an app that is focused around local businesses, Tim.
That's
Right.
truly exciting. That is truly exciting because that's one of our goals. Years ago, I used to tell people that we want to. Our goal is to replace YouTube and Amazon because they're just middlemen. They have their hands out and they just collect money for things that everyday people can do themselves if they know how. And we provide that. One of the things we're excited about is that with our individual affiliate program, we'll be live streaming first run movies where instead of Sony Pictures or Amazon or any of those giant companies making the money, we can actually make the money ourselves because people have these giant television in their living rooms. So instead of them, these giant networks and distributors getting the money, we can actually make the money for our community ourselves and capitalize on our culture.
Right.
And,
And we
and we
get we
and we plan on going a step further than that. We plan on being the ones financing the movies and making the movies.
There you go. Who has more stories than we do? Who has more
Nobody.
compelling stories? Nobody has more stories to tell than we do. That's right.
Right. And so now talk about again how important it is for local vendors to be able to access a platform like UIN. So if you're in Atlanta, you're in Detroit, or you're in LA, what is the value? Because I know you have the shopping channel coming. So talk about that for local vendors.
Well, the shopping channel, it's been a labor of love because it's definitely high tech and coordinating and getting everything to work right. It takes quite an effort. But we're to the place. We're doing a soft launch this week. But with our shopping channel, is primarily for local businesses. You can get local businesses do business locally, but we'll broadcast it on all of our affiliates worldwide. So it's a locally based, but with a worldwide reach, and that just opens the door for like community businesses, people who are ambitious, people who are tired of working jobs, working for people. They can start their own business and incorporate what we're doing and this delivery service. We're going to change. We're going to change things.
America, welcome to iPTV.